Hey Paul, how are you?
I'm good, Philippa. Yourself?
Nice to see you again. I'm
Same
good,
to
thank
you.
you. Well, it's nice to jump on and do this with you anyway, because I don't know much about your business and you probably don't know much about my business. This is probably quite a nice opportunity to get to know each other a little bit better anyway.
So who are you, Philippa? Tell us
And
who you are.
for the record, everybody, we're not married. We've just got the same
No, we're not
name.
married. We've just got the same surname.
Yeah.
It's not a very common surname, obviously, so it's
Well, exactly.
it's a little bit out there.
Well, I've got a member of staff called Charlotte Philip Smith, and I'm called Philippa Smith. How mad's that?
Wow, okay.
Yeah, a bit too close. So that's a lot of confusion with that.
That is a lot of confusion.
Me, Philippa Smith, I own a company called Swan Recruitment. We're 10 years old and we specialise in private domestic staffing. To people who don't know what that is, we basically put hospitality staff in rich people's homes. And we recruit for the ultra high net worths of the world who have multiple homes, yachts and jets, and we provide all their staffing because God forbid they can't make a cup of tea or make their own bed. That's ultimately what we're doing. And we operate globally. So our head office here in London, we've got an office in Dubai, we've got an office in Miami, so we've got clients sort of real spread. That's me.
Wow, I'm going to sound really boring now. Christ almighty. That's in comparison to you. So I'm Paul Smith, owner, managing director, tea maker, coffee maker, whatever you want to class me as, of Deploy Recruitment Group. So we just turned 10 last week. And it just marked 1 year of ownership the week before that as well. So it's been quite an interesting journey. So we are infrastructure and technology based in Welwyn Garden City, sunny Croydon, and down in Surrey. And we work UK, Europe, and the USA as well. So we place blue collar, white collar individuals, temp, perm, contract, whatever we can get our hands on, basically.
Oh, you've got like a proper job. I feel
Wow.
like you've got a proper job.
Yeah, so I've always been interested in your side of the market. So that's why when they've asked us to do this today, I found it quite interesting because it's very much two different worlds that kind of collide, but there'd be a lot of similarities in the type of individual, top to bottom, we probably do hire, but we don't probably realise it, to be fair. So I mean, look, the world of recruitment's ever changing. Let's be honest, and you know. 1 week to the next, there's a new bit of technology or a different way of working or a different mindset. So how things have been for you over the last 12, 18 months?
Mental, good busy. Let's clear. How's it been for us? Yeah, we've been really busy. I've been noticing, like, especially in the TRN groups, people have been, especially in the tech industry, like had massive highs followed by massive lows. We didn't really sort of get affected by any of that.
No.
Recessions or turns in the market or downturns, whatever, doesn't really affect billionaires of the world. Doesn't really matter what happens. They're still not gonna look after themselves at home. COVID was horrendous because we put stuff in people's homes, and when you can't put stuff in people's homes, that was obviously an issue. So this is obviously prior to last 12 to 18 months. And so also
so what sort of changes did you have to make then in lockdown? I mean, obviously, as you say, you continued on trading. What was there any particular trends or changes you had to make? So obviously either keep the staff motivated, etc.
Well, basically, at the very beginning of lockdown, literally, I think it was pretty much, I was skiing in France when they shut the border. I was there and when everyone got kicked out of the ski resort. But the same morning, the exact same morning, we've got a massive client in Saudi, got in touch with them and said, we need 80 staff sent out to us over the next 6 months. With or without lockdowns, we'll send private jets, we'll do quarantines and all the rest. So
crazy.
Without that, I don't think I'd even have a business, because that aside, we made no money whatsoever. I furloughed pretty much everybody apart from my Saudi team. And that the cash from that, and we're only contingent, which we can talk about later, but because we send people to Saudi every single month, from a cash flow point of view, it's absolutely fine. I never need to take money up front or do a retainer with them. But in this instance, I said, will you pay half your fee upon offer, half your fee when they arrive, which they've never done before? They're like, yes, of course. If that arrangement wasn't in place or they hadn't agreed to it or whatever, we would have just literally shut our doors. I would have reopened them later, but it was just, and so not only because, so what happened was, principals, we call them principals, our bosses, so the billionaire, the principals, typically principals have multiple homes, all fully staffed. They'll travel between them all, typically. So there's a lot of recruitment going on. What happened during lockdown is they would isolate in one home, get rid of everybody else, so everybody would lose their jobs, and they would go down to a real skeletal team who were forced to, who were offered to keep their jobs and live in with them. So therefore recruitment just didn't happen because no one was leaving jobs, nobody's hiring. And there was a lot of candidates looking for work. So it was really, really difficult for the industry and really difficult for people who got laid off, obviously. We came out of lockdown. And yes, there was a flurry of recruitment in terms of them wanting to restaff homes, and people who had to live with their principal who now hate their principal would leave jobs, etc. But we have found actually in the market, maybe not so much the last 12 months, but maybe the year or so after lockdown, these principals, just to give an insight, rich people are very tight, right? Really tight.
That's why they're rich.
That's why they're rich. And they're incredibly demanding. They want everything for nothing. Like literally, I'll have a billionaire, right, argue with me for weeks because he wants £500 off his invoice for whatever reason. The invoice could be 20 grand. I think it's a principle. I think it's a power play, a principle thing. It's not really about the money. And I'm just like, so often I'm like, why am I doing financial favors to one of the richest men in the world? How ridiculous. Anyway, but a couple of things came out that wasn't, I've actually written on my notes, in terms of the changes in recruitment in our industry. Principals came out of lockdown and thought, actually, I don't need 20 people running my home. I've had 4 people do it quite happily during lockdown. Now, the 4 people would disagree and say, we didn't do it happily. We had no choice. It was incredibly stressful. And you were doing less. You weren't having dinner parties and all the rest. It was a lot more easier. But these principals are now thinking, hold on a minute, you've proved to me that you can do it as you are. So all of a sudden, the size of the teams are smaller. And this term in our industry keeps cropping up called hybrid roles, where all of a sudden, instead of having a house manager, a chef, and a butler, we're now seeing roles advertised, house manager, chef, butler, for one person, not 3 people. And so this whole hybrid role, I don't know if it's purely a money thing. It probably is, but I actually think wealthy people have enjoyed having less people in the home.
I can imagine.
Do you know what I mean? And so all of a sudden they're like, well, if you guys, but you for 2 years you did everything, so therefore one person can do everything. And so we're kind of like educating our clients constantly. And I'm to be fair, I'm seeing way less of it. And we don't even take hybrid roles anymore. I wouldn't even take a nanny stroke housekeeper stroke cook. Like it's not a role, that's 3 roles. So hybrid roles was definitely a thing. But that was challenging. But in terms of the market generally busy as an industry, ever so busy, which is a good thing. So what about you?
Well, from our point of view, we were very lucky. So our biggest marketplace is railways. So they couldn't just stop. So interestingly, as you said, they were decreasing the headcount into your roles. They were multiplying hours. So 2 small things had changed. They were bringing in COVID marshals. So hiring additional people to make sure the distancing was done, people were following the right protocols, and making sure everything was correct on site. And then small things that probably people wouldn't even consider is that we used to have minibuses of people going between sites of up to 12 people. You could only have maximum of plus driver 2, 3, because they had to then split every single aisle. So then in a really weird way, the whole industry increased the headcount and numbers needed just to deliver single jobs. So instead of having 1 minibus, you had to have 5.
So this is all great for you now.
It's great for us, but then if you can imagine one client needs that, the whole country then needs it. So you have a supply chain issue of getting vehicles. So if people can get enough vehicles, and then people couldn't travel together, they had to drive in individual vans or individual cars. You couldn't really take public transport. So the whole infrastructure increased, but it was a really I don't know the best way of describing it. We're very, very lucky that consistently our work, so our big work is contingent as well. And then other major projects, things like Crossrail, still had to continue to be built. People then were allowed to work from home if they were in office environments. So we were so lucky that everything just continued. And then really weird things, we were having to try and find solutions for allowing drivers to drive vans. Because we were going, look, if we can't get guys into vehicles, no one has any work. And then we had to then go out and find solutions. So we found a middle ground solution, which was a really weird thing. Every taxi in London has a shield between the driver and the passengers, right? This company makes it for every single van, pre-made.
Wow.
So out of pure frustration. I phoned every business I could think of under the sun, and then went, hang on a minute, taxis happen. Who does all the taxi production? And then we found they did it for the NHS, they did it for hospitals, police forces. So that was just a real kind of eureka moment to try and just get everything moving again. It's weird how you kind of react just to make sure what you've got continues. So that was a really weird one. And then obviously coming out the back of lockdown, I don't know about yourself on if you lost any staff or not. We went from a company of, so our main office was Liverpool Street at the time. We had 44 person office. We had 38 heads. And by the end of lockdown, we were down to 18.
Through people leaving, or through you guys cutting dead wood?
It was interesting. So 3 of the team left on double salary offers because our competitors were seeing we're still busy. And they believed if they paid more, they would get the business. It doesn't work that way.
No.
We work as every person in this business has a role.
Yeah.
Everything is done by everybody, not just a single person. So clients are not owned. They are the business. They are part of everybody's day-to-day setup. So we're very lucky in that respect that because we're licensed and regulated in our industry, you just can't set up the day after and go again. So is your marketplace then competitive? That's an interesting one, because you can't just phone billionaires and go, hi, I want to send you some people.
It's massively competitive. It's hugely saturated. There's a million people doing what I do. So many people say to me, it's so niche what you do. You must be raking it in. Nah, there's a million of us. Less so in America, which is our big sort of future plans. But we'll talk. We're going to touch on marketing later, aren't we? And our whole marketing strategy, our whole BD really, our whole BD focus needs to be very different to everyone else's BD. Because yes, you can't pick up the phone to a king of Saudi and ask him about his housekeeping needs. We need workarounds. You know, celebrities in Hollywood are not going to be taking my phone calls to talk about the hiring strategy for 2024. So
well, you never know.
No. But so I'll talk about it in a minute. So in terms of and so just to wrap up that a little bit, so you were saying about coming out of COVID, you lost a load of people. We did lose people, but I only through my choice. I used it as an opportunity to get rid of the people that I realised were crap, and then rebuilt. How are you? You were 18 at that point. How many are you now?
30 again.
That was loads. Yeah, you're bigger than us. We're only 14.
Yeah, I mean, you know, I was going to say the comment there. You know, size doesn't really matter, does it? I guess in certain things, but it's all, you know, obviously turnover is vanity, profit is king, you know. So at the end of the day, your turnover could be smaller, but your profitability could be a lot higher because you don't have the same headcount restriction, costs associated, same headcount, everything else. So it's all relative at the end of the day.
True.
It's all very relative.
And over the last 12 months then, like I've seen people in the tech industry sort of struggle a little bit. Have you guys been affected over the last year or two?
No, so we've been, what the biggest change has been, I bought the business 12 months ago out from the group I was with. It gives you then the ability to reset. So whereas most companies kind of just continue on, spend, we had the opportunity to go line by line and decide what was relative, what's not relative, and what we can renegotiate. And that's exactly what we did. Honestly, it's a really it's a bit like you know, you get to reset, and that's what the problem most recruitment companies don't do. They don't generally reset because it's quite hard work.
So I definitely think I'm very frivolous as well. Like if it's going to take a lot of effort to change providers to save me 50 quid a month, I ain't going to do it.
No.
But if I did it across the board, you know, marginal gains and all that, it probably. And
I think offices are a real key one. Even getting down to the right IT providers, because ultimately, at the end of the day, if your tech stack's not correct, which I'm sure we'll discuss as part of marketing going forwards, and that's wrong, you'll just burn money. Continuously.
Yeah. Well, I've just decided, I think I spoke to you about the other day, we've decided to get the hell out of this serviced office. It's 12 grand a month for 12 people. And we're going to buy a space, I think. If I look, the space I'm looking to buy that holds up to 30 desks. Okay. The rent I've paid for the last 5 years here, I could have bought that office out right now. I'd have bought it outright, 600, 700 grand. I'd own it, and I'd now be leasing it for whatever. So
Yeah,
the rent, and the money I'm wasting. It's a service office. It's very cool. We've got a gym, there's a bar, there's a cafe. Everyone's sick of the cafe. It's same food every day. No one drinks in the bar. They'd rather go to Tesco's and drink at the desk. And the gym, one person goes to the gym. So it's great if you use everything. But anyway, but yes, it does. It gets very expensive to run a company, doesn't it? So
it does. So it's just trying to find ways of streamlining, and obviously that goes into obviously what the future looks like over the next 12, 18 months. And you know, from a reset to where we are now, we're in a very good position. A lot of it was around marketing and branding. It's so important, because again, as you said, in your market space, you're very, very in a very competitive market. So what stands you out from the rest? Why should someone pick up the phone to you and trust you with what they're doing over anyone else?
Yeah, exactly. I agree with you. That's one of our points we're going to talk about. So we go into the thing about marketing. 100%. We're going to talk about, we'll pose the question, is marketing a load of fluff? What's your view? You obviously just said a little bit then about it.
Definitely not. Critical? No, it's critical, and I think it's marketing is I was just saying before we go on, I've just spent 4 hours with our marketing company. So we outsource that to someone who's in the marketing junction, a guy called Robert Woodfords.
Nice.
He's in recruitment. He's only done recruitment for the last, I think it's 18 years. But it's not just the recruitment part. He will now take, so when big change was made, we switched over to Bullhorn, which is either people love Bullhorn or they hate Bullhorn. But again, but I'll put it another way. The best thing about, it's like with marketing, everything is like, if your system's not set up to allow you to grow, and you don't do the administration work before you get going, everyone's going to moan about it. It's wasted effort. Or at least bring in people that actually know how to use your systems. So from our point of view today, we've just worked out what we need, what we don't need. And he will now take over the automations part. I don't have to think about it, but he's been doing that for 20 years nearly with a recruitment ecosystem. So you just get the fundamentals and the foundation part correct, which then allows you to link to every source you want to in a social perspective. You can't really go too far wrong. But I don't have enough brain power or time or effort in my head to allow that to happen.
How I've managed, I agree, completely critical. There's only been a recent realization. So over the 10 years, I've had all sorts of different ways of managing my marketing. So it's an area that I don't think about, nor necessarily, I do care, but it's just not my thing. I'm not creative at all. I've got no ideas and all the rest. I had someone internal who, in hindsight, wasn't the right person for the job. I went to one agency who charged a fortune and told me every marketing agency tells you need a brand new website. And the first 6 months of building a website that you didn't even need in the first place doesn't work very well before they even start thinking about marketing. First agency, spent a lot of money, didn't get a lot from a marketing point of view. Went to another agency, it was even worse. And actually, our marketing right now is the best it's ever been. And it's actually a lady called Megan joined about 1.5 years ago, not for marketing.
Okay.
And she joined, and actually very good at design, very good at this, very good at that. She's now our marketing manager, and she's been having a mentor. Neil from Redden has been her mentor, because I don't know how to manage a marketing person. I don't know what it should look like. So we now have in-house marketing, but we invest heavily. So we're a team of 14. I've got 2 people on the marketing team. I think that's quite a lot for a team of 14. Megan does all the marketing. We recently took on Imogen, who is young and knows what young people need, and she manages our TikTok and all the rest. And so I think we invest really heavily. I think easily 10% of our revenue is on our marketing.
But it's interesting, but then if you flip that 4 might be not enough, because ultimately your business development function comes off the back of your marketing. So it's all depending if you want your resources and people in the business to either be sitting there all day business developing on the phone, or physically allowing marketing to actually take that and have it more inbound. So I think it was the realization I got was a little bit like yourself, is Gary V. Everyone, I'm sure a lot of people follow Gary V, right? And the short version is that he says, why spend $160 on a pair of Nike trainers when you can buy the same quality for $40? it's because you trust the brand and you trust the swoosh. He says there's two types of businesses. There's ones with really good branding and marketing that can talk to millions quickly, or you've got very good salespeople that can talk to individuals. So basically saying is, if your salespeople can talk to 1 million people a day potentially, you've got a great one. But no one can. So you've got to have a really good blend and a really good way of creating your content, which then allows your really good salespeople to close. But the people knowing what you do before they even pick up the phone to you.
Exactly. It's brand awareness, isn't it? Like we're very it's a funny one in our industry, because I think a lot of we're disrupting the industry at the moment as an agency, because I think a lot of our competitors when we came along and still I think it's a very confidential industry. You've got to be very discreet. You've got to be very private. Our clients are private people, so you can't put anything on LinkedIn. You can't talk about anything. You need to be very shush and do it all behind closed doors. We are so noisy and vocal and visible in our market, and we've basically proved to everybody, like, you can be really, really vocal and visible whilst respecting confidentiality. I'm not shouting about what Johnny Depp has for breakfast. I'm shouting about how house managers can manage houses better. Do you know what I mean? And so
you watch Instagram and TikTok, and the most watched things in the world is estate agents going to billionaires' houses. So if you're pushing people walking through the door and showing around the place, what's the difference between you talking about how well your staff are looked after by those people?
Exactly.
It's actually a better way of looking at it, because it's more attractive then to attract the right staff into those houses.
Exactly. And we've just gone through a massive rebrand. If you actually go on our website right now, it's down with a lovely little picture, because we went through a company called Holt actually for our rebrand, but it's been a major rebrand, major refresh. We need so a similar sort of thing to you in terms of what are we doing and how we're doing it, but I'm really excited for that to come out. But I suppose that leads me into like BD. Another question that we were posed is, do recruiters enjoy new BD? We have to do our BD very differently, but what about you guys first? Do you guys like doing BD?
So part of the whole reorg, so Robert now does our marketing, but I must say up to that point, so if you see our new branding, our new messaging, our website, like yours is we've got a holding one at the moment. Our latest one should have gone live a few months ago, but we won't go live until we're ready. So to be fair, Hoxo did all the legwork, all the rebranding piece, all the marketing piece up to that point, and then we need someone to take it over. But we've now purely have a separated business development team, which we've never had before. So we've just promoted internally. So Rod Lanigan, who was the first person who joined me just under 10 years ago, he's January, has now been stepped up to business development director, or as we class it here, head of entertainment. And we have Jess, who's joined us about 6 months ago, and a lady called Alicia, who's just joined us literally a week ago now. So we've separated out the business. They're targeted against growth, and they're targeted on the whole business performance, not just divisions. So we're 6 divisions as a business now. That's another big thing that's grown. So we're now having to market each division separately with very different messaging and very different ways of looking at things, especially as you've just highlighted, you're working in multiple countries with different brains, different thought processes, different ways they want to be sold to. So that's where we are now. We've never had that before, but it's paying dividends now, because it's focusing their attention on purely bringing in the sales. Our delivery guys are awesome.
So at desk level, there's zero BD activities for the consultants to do?
No.
Is it all done? Okay, cool.
Our biggest earners in our company are resources.
Yes, cool. Yeah, it's interesting. Well, so I actually also hired a BD manager in May, and it's completely shaped how our BD is done. There's still an expectation of BD at desk level, because I think it's important that our consultants engage with a lot of our house managers, but we have to do BD really differently. So as we touched on before, in our industry, you can't go to Google and Google phone numbers of clients, obviously. So how do you? So I completely really changed our BD strategy a couple of years ago, maybe about 3 or 4 years ago, when I realised actually the principal, who is my client paying my bill, there's no point trying to market to them, because they are not involved in their recruitment. The billionaire, he's not going to know. He's just, anyway, not involved. But back in the day, I used to think like, maybe I should get inside like private jet flight magazines and like, what do they read? Where do they go? And thinking, not at all. So I was like, well, who does manager recruitment? It's the house manager, the most senior member of staff in the house. So it's a house manager. You touched on earlier, there's different language used in America. They call them estate managers. They don't have CVs, they have resumes, etc. So you do have to tell your marketing. But the estate manager or the house manager or the private PA, they're the ones that manage recruitment. So our business, the way I run my business as a whole really completely changed when I deemed them to be my client.
Okay.
And they're really easy people to engage with. They're candidates half the time. Yeah. And so this is where we do a lot of community work, which you may have heard me bang on about before. So a massive BD focus for us is our communities. So if I want to, for example, if I want to venture into Texas, how do I find clients in Texas? I go and find every estate manager I can who works in Texas. They're all on LinkedIn, job boards. And I say to them all, your job's incredibly challenging. It's also very isolating. Do you want to join a free WhatsApp group of house managers in Texas? You can all support each other. A bit like our TRN thing. Everyone's like, oh my God, it's amazing. Is it free? You guys are amazing. Anyway, we've got 12 WhatsApp groups now, over 1,000 community members. And we just do all their recruitment. So like so it's sort of like they're all potential clients. It's all potential clients, exactly. So, but all of a sudden it's just like our BD now doesn't feel cold, hardcore BD.
It's not forced.
So whilst I have a BD manager who helps support BD at desk level, and he does a lot of BD himself, he grows all the communities, etc. I do the consultants at desk level, their BD focus is engaging with their community. Because, for example, my Dubai consultant who has a Dubai WhatsApp group, it may as well be him making the check-in calls to the community members, not my BD manager, because when they're wanting to talk about staff, do you know what I mean? Anyway,
so we class it. So if I step away for a second, so we'll class it as client focused, site focused. So again, our guys will be site focused management. So still business developing, but they deal with the site level, like you're saying there. And we have obviously our resource team that, I'll be honest with you, once the client is won, probably like yourself, it's the management and maintaining and relationships. It's pure relationships. People doesn't regardless of marketing, automations, AI, I don't care what anyone says, relationships still win out. So how you present yourself, it will get you to the point of to the front door. But if you don't deliver on your own bullshit, you ain't going to last very long.
Yeah, so true. And if you've got a good relationship, you've got a client flag, you haven't got to worry about everything else. So they shouldn't have a reason to go anywhere else.
No.
But yeah, this whole, I think people think about BD and sales. I just think back to my office angel days where I had to do 100 sales calls a week, 10 visits, all this extra stuff. And it was all very figures based, and it was all just like hardcore, like quite aggressive sales. I don't like that. I don't like receiving it. I don't like doing it. So it's quite fortunate that that's not effective in my industry anyway. I couldn't do it even if I wanted to. We've had to find, so a lot of our BD now, the way I see BD is add value, and be in the right place when they want to hire. So we've got the podcast we've had for 4 years now, the community, and we get business off that. The community is a big focus of ours. We do loads of events with it. We do loads of training, loads of webinars. So all we try and really do from a BD point of view is try and add value to these house managers. And try and really support them in their roles, bring them together, make them fall in love with us. And then you've got the relationship,
But it's interesting what you just said there with the other things you mentioned. So you just said earlier on that you haven't really focused on marketing until the last 12 months. If you actually just step back on everything you've just said there, that is marketing.
Yeah.
The whole lot of
it
it
is marketing.
Yeah. I think possibly where you probably haven't seen it in marketing is that how well do you actually highlight and tell people the different things you just said?
I think we're pretty vocal about it. It's kind of sort of like all over sort of LinkedIn, especially those the communities and stuff. But yeah, I suppose it's funny, that is all marketing. You're right. When I think of marketing, I think of quality email campaigns, the follow-up, the review, using the data effectively, seeing what the ROI is on your Google spend, that kind of stuff. That's the sort of, I think that's marketing. But you're right, it is all marketing, isn't it? It's all brand awareness. It's
personal branding, which is really, and to be fair, again, from working with the TRN and obviously they working with Hoxo alongside. It sounds like we're pushing everyone over ourselves this afternoon on these on this conversation. But to be fair, I think people take LinkedIn as you've got to talk about work all the time. You've got to be very work centric. It's when we're in our group conversation the other day, and as a gentleman there talking about his business, and I think I posed the question is, what does your team and what does the wider industry know about you?
Mm.
You know, all people can see is that you, Philippa, own a recruitment business.
Yeah.
But what do they actually know about you? Why should they work with you? What's your moral standing? What's your background? What do you actually believe in? And to be fair, that you know, we've worked quite hard now. I have myself personally, and when you're looking at statistics and things like that, we're actually now our second biggest person viewing us as a business is recruiters and salespeople. Which,
nice,
if you went
yeah.
2 years ago,
yeah,
wouldn't it be in the top 20?
Yeah. I'm a massive believer in personal branding, and it was actually the personal branding course I did with Sean at Hoxo that set up my podcast initially, and gave me the idea of community. So I've got they would also support our marketing. They were my first agency I referenced. The marketing support didn't work for us at the time using them. However, the personal branding and the community stuff is brilliant. And I'm a massive advocate, and I completely agree with you. And we actually yesterday was Thursday. Yesterday morning, we did a personal branding refresher training for everyone in my team, and everyone's the way we sort of like rank performance and look at the promotional criteria. We have the 4 Bs: behaviors, billings, business development, and now branding. And people's personal branding is now part of their job, and so it's now on the job descriptions. When people join, they have that part of their role is personal branding. So you can't sit there and be like, oh, I'm so embarrassed, I'm putting online. Part of your job, leave. Like it's so important to me that every single person in my company shows our audience about them. Let people
100%.
in, and as you say, the more people know of you, the more they like you, the more they'll trust you, the more they think you're credible. I literally get roles, LinkedIn messages with roles regularly, and it's because I'm all over LinkedIn with all sorts of random crap. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
So important. I'm so with you on that.
But it does get to a point where I'm not going to lie. You've had a nice ability to be consistent and grow as you said for the last period. I've come from the other way. I've just gone through a complete buyout, and I think yesterday I started writing a LinkedIn post of the last 12 months and 2 years. And if you actually reflect and go through the process, I think I got to a capacity my brain couldn't take anymore. And that's where suddenly you go away from being that outbound LinkedIn person that you were before. It's a bit like when you stop going to the gym. You physically got to force yourself back in over that line, and you'll go and buy a bit of gym equipment. It sits in the corner for a year because you're going, oh, I'll use that. Or you download a couple of videos going, I'll do that exercise. It doesn't happen.
You know what? It's like you were listening into my training yesterday, because I was saying the exact same thing. For me, I go through phases with my LinkedIn, with my personal branding. I'll be super creative, super inspired, and I'll put loads of good shit out there. Some of it will fly, some of it will crash, whatever. But then I'll go to, but then if I don't do it for a while, I lack it. And literally yesterday morning I said to people, it's like you've not been to the gym for ages. Once you get back into it and you start to see the results, 100%. You become addicted again. I used the exact same analogy yesterday. So but yeah, it's exactly like that. And I think, but then because I'm trying to get everybody on board with it, I want us all to be held accountable. And also because a lot of my guys are like, if we're all kind of doing it, then we'll take inspiration from each other. And in our Monday morning meeting, the very end, little wrap up, we're like, right, anyone got any ideas for LinkedIn this week? We'll have a look on my board, like what's going on this week, what's happening, like what around the world, what day is it, stupid donut day or whatever. And we put some stuff in, but it's the World Cup here, that then Ronaldo's just gone there, and we just put some stuff up there, just give people ideas as a team 100%. Of what they can post.
But you can do really see things. And Daryl works for us. He puts stupid things up, like, I don't know, walruses, and last year with the snow, people slipping over. I mean, he had 150,000 views of a bloke slipping over on his front lawn with ridiculous amount of comments, and you're going, I poured my heart out the week before, and no one flipping read it, and you're going, I can't win. My
best LinkedIn post to date that went fully viral was a picture of Freddo's at 68p a Freddo, and it says, this is our Brits measure. This is our Brits measure inflation, and that went viral. And I was like, I agree with you. I've got pictures of my babies on there. I've got like I've opened my heart out, but like showing how extortionate Freddos are now. That's what did hit.
Freddos were 10p. 10p for Freddos, right? 68p.
I know, 68p, you know, yeah, it went off.
I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure
I
about
know.
that.
No,
But branding,
I know.
look, branding's really important. And that's
Yeah.
not just what you're physically putting online. I don't know how much merchandise you do or not.
I went through posting merchandise, and I realised even if you did good merchandise, it's crap for a billionaire.
A 100%.
I can't send a branded coffee cup while he's getting on his private jet. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So I stopped doing merchandise, but I still invest in a way. Like, but again, with our house managers, like we do a lot of like lunches, take people out, we do events, get people together. I'll go to Florida, we'll get on a roof, get everyone together. But like, even if I got really quality stuff, even for the house managers, it's crap. The gifts they get from their bosses are insane. Pens don't cut it anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
But it probably works in your industry.
Yeah, but I wouldn't have even considered that.
Yeah, I've got loads of merchandise in my office that I'm embarrassed to give out people. I can't give out these really bad and old battery power packs that are not even good anymore without my shit logo on it, and it doesn't even charge your phone. But like all the merchandise I've got is crap for this luxury world. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, you can't. You can't even compete.
No.
Wow.
What we do sometimes. So say for example, we've got a client who we do a lot of recruitment for. They're not necessarily, again, they're normally the PA. If one of my team is going for a meeting with them, they'll go with a nice Aspinall notepad and a Mont Blanc pen, and they'll give them that as a nice gift once a year, a nice little gift. But I don't still want any of it anymore because I feel like people don't use it. But it's a different world, isn't it? When I was at Office Angels, merchandise, pink shit everywhere.
Of course.
It was like a massive thing. So.
And I think most other recruitment agencies, as long as they knew someone at Office Angels, they never need any stationery themselves in their office.
Ever. No.
You acquired it from everybody else.
Yeah,
100%.
exactly.
So my brain's just mind blowing. Of course, it's a different level of individual you're dealing with. You can't do you physically can't do merchandising.
There's nothing. Even if I gave them a Ferrari, he wouldn't even want that because they've got 12 other better cars. Do you know what I mean? So we just gave up. We just don't do it. We just gave up.
Really cool.
They'd rather 1% off their fee. Is what they'd rather.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Of course. So that £500 you want to argue over, then you go, okay, cool. That doesn't even touch the sides.
Yeah,
Blimey.
exactly.
Wow, that is a different world completely. So I think we covered through. So marketing is this fluff, but obviously then what leads on to marketing as well is, I think, automation. We were discussing that's like you're a Bullhorn user like we are now. How long have you been on Bullhorn?
Years and years. Yeah, years and years. And we're going to come January. We're doing the Bullhorn automation.
So you haven't been on it before?
No, we've been to the whole demo. We've seen how it all works. I've spoken to people that use it.
Yeah.
I've heard from multiple people. It takes a lot of time to set up. Take your time. Use it for what you need it. You need someone to manage it. If it's done well and you focus, it can be fucking brilliant. But a lot of people get so overwhelmed and not using any of it. I'm a massive believer in automation, and I don't think that it dehumanizes the process if you use it for the right things. I'm not going to start getting a robot to call my candidates, obviously. So like all the human bits that are really important, the relationship building, I don't think tech will ever be able to replace that. Especially meeting people face to face, all the relationship, all that stuff. But oh my god, a lot of the communication could and should be automated. So that's what we're going to use it for. I want to really increase it. Yeah, I want to really increase the number of touch points our clients and candidates get over the year, but I want to automate it all, whilst it doesn't feel like automation, if possible.
Yeah, it's what quality you add into the content.
Yeah.
It's the quality over quantity in certain respects. But again, it sounds like you've got a lot of content that would be very good to put out there, especially things like your podcast. Because again, I'm guessing that's working with estate managers, that's turnkey, talking to owners. So again, it gives an inside conversation and viewpoint from the people actually doing the jobs.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, because a lot of people who come and talk to me don't. If you should go speak to a waitress, they'll have no idea that this world exists or how to get into it. You know, you watch these shows like Below Deck, and you see people doing stuff like you don't actually know how to get into these industries. And like, I want to go and like chat. People look down on hospitality in our industry, I think, as a career. I don't think there are many people who dream of being a waitress the rest of their life. However, you turn the word waitress to butler, and all of a sudden, I know butlers on 200 grand a year, you know, that travel everywhere, do everything. Like the world that they are living in is insane. There's compromise and a lot of sacrifice, because your principal's family become more important than your family, and you all miss your own family weddings for their son's football game because he's forgot his football boots, whatever. But it's like the hospitality does not need to be looked at as something you do between jobs, something you do when you're student, something you do if you're foreign, you live in this country. It could and should be looked at as a really incredible career, but people don't know it exists and people don't know how to get into it. And so that's what the podcast is all about: educating, inspiring. We give people an insight into this world, what they should know, how to get in, and interviewed loads of different people that work in it and what their journey looked like, etc. But like, going back to so we've got lots of content like that to market out to.
So are you going to map out your full into automation process before you get going, or are you just going to go with it?
No, map out. So they've been like nagging us to sign up, this, not sign up. We basically said, we're not signing up until we have a full map. It's going to look like Prison Break on the wall. It's going to be like, so, do you know what I mean? I want every single thing. And also, I'm not going to go nuts. I'm not going to go in with like 150 sequences. I'm going to start with like, there we go. That's your map.
That is literally what we've just done. This is what we've just done today with our marketing guy. And on the backside is what we did with Adam Gibson when we actually put together why we're going with Bullhorn and all business automation for the company. So nice. I'm environmentally friendly, so I'm using both sides.
Very nice.
And it also means as well, because it's drawn out, you can start relaying it back each time you have a marketing meeting and start ticking things off, because it's such a broad spectrum, even down to linking every single one of your social pages together. And then using a platform of how they're actually going to multi-post onto one. And then how does that automation come from Bullhorn to the multi-poster to go out? And are you going to use video over text, pictures over everything else? So that was 4 hours with 2 marketing people, one of them being the owner. And we haven't even got started.
And that's just thinking about what you can automate, not actually physically implementing the automation and sort of testing it. I think how we planned it, we plan to map it all out, but I plan to do it in stages. So, for example, Q1, I'll have 10 sequences, and then we'll layer on top after that. Do you know what I mean? I don't want to go in with like, let's just try and like do it all. I want to start. So let's just do automation for candidates. Who are coming to whatever. Do you know what I mean? So I want to tell you, but I want to, because it's not cheap. And because you don't want to get it wrong, we're just going to ease into it, I think.
Okay.
But I'm a big believer in it. I think people that don't automate just are creating a rub for their own back. There's a lot of work you don't have to be doing manually.
Well, so. Robert gave today a 6 months just to get it moving.
That's what I'm thinking.
Minimum, and he said the clients he still works with now, they're 5 years in and still
tweaking.
Still tweaking, because nothing's perfect.
No.
And the problem is, I think in our industry in particular, we give up too quick.
And
then people will talk badly about the systems they use because A, they haven't had involvement in how it's set up, and B, they just don't know how to do it.
Exactly. And they haven't got the resources. I suppose I often feel, oh my God, do I need 2 marketing people in such a small company? Like, I'm so heavily invested. But then I've got resources to do stuff like this really well. So that's why I'm really keen to get on with it. Because it is a big job. I've been kicking the can down the road a bit, to be honest with you. It's a January problem. But that's even start mapping. We plan to have it all mapped out before then, but I don't think we're going to have a chance. But I agree with you. Get it all mapped and then stand on the dotted line.
I think draw it out. Honest to God, Adam Gibson. So my next episode of my podcast comes out next week, and Adam Gibson's on there, who is the gentleman who introduced me to Source of Truth. And I use it for everything now in the business, regardless if it's work, marketing, hiring, everything else. And
Source of Truth.
We add to it. It's an IT term. I've never heard it before until he told me. So we do Source of Truth and what ifs. So you map out the source of truth, and then you work through every what if.
What do you mean by source of truth?
Source of truth. So source of truth. So your marketing is your source of truth.
Oh, fine. The topic, the thing.
And so take Bullhorn automation. So that's your source of truth. How is that going to then communicate with Bullhorn to your website, to then automate it to all your social channels, and then that's outbound. Then how is everyone going to communicate coming back in? From them, where do they land on your website? What pages do you want them to see? Then does that page actually work? Will it allow them to actually get the information you need to get to you quickly? So it's a real, and that's when the what if comes in. Well, what if they go to that link and why does it take you to that page? Oh, okay. Well, if we actually add an extra button, that might get us the better information. So it's all non-actual recruitment making money work. It's all spend before it comes back.
It's hard work running an agency, isn't it? Like there's so much. Everyone starts an agency. Everyone starts an agency because you're a good recruiter once upon a time. No one ever trains us on how to run an agency. This is why TRM are such a massive support for me. I always say that when I joined TRM about 5 years ago, that's when I started running my business like a business rather than me just doing a job. I still remember James, if he's listening, I still remember James saying, so can I see a business plan? And can I see your P&L? I'm like, what's a P&L and what's a business plan? I didn't have any of them. Now I'm obsessed about my P&L. Like, do you know what I mean? So,
but so it's funny. Out of interest, being a TRM member, were you at any point resistant to anything that was suggested? That's quite an interesting
loads
one.
at the beginning. I was like, I don't do any of this. And then you soon learn. It took, I reckon I've been like really interested in my P&L for about a year. So it took them 4 years to teach me or convince me or demonstrate to me that you cannot scale your business if you don't know your numbers. And it's so true. But it was about a year ago. I was like, okay, let me dig out this P&L and just dust it off and update it and see what it looks like. And now I get excited about it. I like doing sort of my budget out of 24. Like, it's exciting. Do you know what I mean?
So what does the next 12 to 18 months look like then? That's a really good way to obviously finish this off. We've got there. Look how we flowed, Philippa. Look at that. We
naturals.
As if we've never, as if we've done this before.
I know. So we're really busy at the moment. So we're about to expand. We've got this new the rebrand and the new website, and all of that is going to be live next week. And then the big plans for 24. I'm going to go nuts in America. I'm finding business there easy. Salaries are so much higher. Fees are higher, and Americans actually like us and aren't being dickheads. And they move. They make decisions. So
it's quick turnaround.
So we're having a lot of success over there. But we're also excitingly about to, over the course of next year, going to set up a couple of new arms of Silver Swan. So we've got Silver Swan Recruitment will be the group. We'll have Silver Swan Private, which is what we're doing at the moment, the private side of it. We're going to set up Silver Swan Corporate because a lot of CEOs, ultra high net worth in the business space need a lot of support. So we do a lot of EA recruitment already, PA recruitment within the business environment, but we also want to recruit into family offices and recruit for still in the luxury world, but we can recruit into concierge companies, private members clubs. So high-end hospitality that might not necessarily be in a home. And then at the end of the year, I want to set up Silver Swan hotels where we recruit for the best hotels in the world. Not so much probably the housekeeping butlers, but the management or senior members of staff. So Silver Swan, by the end of the year, I'd like us to have 3 revenue streams: Silver Swan Private, Silver Swan Corporate, Silver Swan Hotels. So that's pretty exciting. Wow. What about you?
America again.
Nice.
Northern Ireland we're very busy in. Southern Ireland we're now very busy in. So I've got my ticket agent phoning me. I'm going to hang up on him. He's phoning me on the only thing he can get me on today. America's big. Europe, white collar. So again, we're predominantly a 90% split blue collar contingent to 10% white. Or technical professionals. So our focus now is to try and even that up as much as physically possible. We're targeting. We've just finished this year, end of last month. So we finished on just over 19 million turnover.
Oh my God, that's massive.
We're profitable, which is good. So that makes me happy for the first year of taking over.
And that's with about 30 people. That's loads, isn't it?
That's 20. Yeah, so that's that we're 28 now, but 7 of those only joined in the last 5 months. We're hiring again, so we're looking for another probably 8 people to join us. I am looking for an EA, so we could have another conversation on that in a minute. That could be quite interesting. And then we're just very lucky. We've got some very strong frameworks for our clients. So in the railway industry, we work in control periods every 5 years. So we're now coming up to this end and spend period, and then we get the next 5 years of spend coming into our industry. The infrastructure and construction markets in America are just ridiculous. And as you say, it's the salaries. because they don't pay healthcare, they don't pay pensions. It's all wrapped up front. And as you say, they are quite happy to talk to you and just want help. So if you're consistent in what you do, and you're straight to the point, you don't lie, and you deliver, well, you can't lose. We're not rocket scientists, Philippa. We're not rocket scientists. We're not doctors. We're not here to save the world. We're literally just trying to give people work.
Exactly.
So for me, it's going to be, the reason why we set the business up it is now. So it's to allow, probably a bit like yourself, to allow you to go and create and push the new markets.
Exactly. It's exciting, isn't it?
It's really exciting stuff. So it's really good stuff. So again, so it's hiring away. It's just, again, keeping an eye on the bottom line. And I think that the key thing as well is actually look at every piece of tech we've got, how it works, and physically use it properly. I think we fail miserably in our industry by actually, we like shiny things. And
then novelty wears off, and then it's just sat in the back cupboard and no one's using it.
No one actually physically uses it. So we've just invested in Zoom Info. I don't know if you use that for America or not. So the differences between UK and America, the GDPR laws, there isn't. So you can access people's names, numbers, and contacts openly and freely,
and market to them.
The reason why I kind of bring this up is that I still love the films like Wall Street. You look at Glengarry, Glen Ross, and you look at Boiler Room. All three of those businesses were also films based on businesses were all worked off telephone books. And all those telephone books is from marketing perspective of people responding in to adverts. So let's fast forward 20 years. It's no different. We've now just got the ability to search it online through these companies that still collect the data, still put it onto a system, but it's now instant accessibility with a search facility. That's all that's changed. Is it 100% accurate? Time will tell. But if you try to do that in the UK or in Europe, you're going to get yourself into trouble very quickly. So from an open market point of view, why not? So this is where it comes back to, how do you then use that data? It goes straight into Bullhorn.
And how can you automate? How can you increase the communications with automation?
Which then pushes on to the marketing, which then pushes on to the content, which then pushes very broadly, very quickly. I'm going to look into that. Look into that. So again, as I say to anyone in TRN and anyone listen to anything I have to say, which I say a lot and not everyone wants to listen to it, if anyone wants to talk for any stuff, I'm always available to talk for it. So I get very excited by this side. And I think I get really excited by other people's success. I don't know why. It's always been in me that way. I don't want anything for it. I just like people being happy and people being successful.
Good for you. It's good to see, isn't it? It's why TRN's great. We all get 100%. To like work on this together and share and help and support, etc. So should we let people get on with their days? No, let's talk for another 4 hours. I can keep talking. We can talk about everything else away. But no, I've really enjoyed this, Philippa. No, it's been really good. Are you going to the January huddle? Yes. We'll see you then. I will be there. I will see you then.